Alright, strap in because things just got real. Drake might have thought he was making power moves, but Universal Music Group just hit him with a 25-page legal smackdown that basically says, game over, buddy. And honestly, they didn't just respond, they went for the jugular. If you've been following this saga, you already know Drake's lawsuit against UMG was a desperate attempt to control the narrative after taking a public loss in his beef with Kendrick Lamar. But now, UMG has turned the tables, using his own tactics against him. And let me tell you, it's not looking good for Champagne Papi. So, what exactly did UMG say? Why is this response such a devastating blow to Drake, and how does this legal battle impact not just rap beef, but the music industry as a whole? Stick around because we're about to break it all down, and trust me, you won't want to miss this. UMG didn't just file a response, they came out swinging. Their rebuttal essentially dismantles Drake's entire argument, pointing out the obvious: if Drake had won this battle in the court of public opinion, there would be no lawsuit. They highlight the fact that Drake himself was the one taunting Kendrick for weeks, practically begging him to respond. He was flexing on social media, claiming that Kendrick had nothing to drop, and boasting that he had a red button ready if Kendrick did respond. But when Kendrick finally delivered a nuke in the form of Not Like Us and other diss tracks, Drake's entire strategy crumbled, and now he's trying to litigate his way out of an L. UMG makes it clear. Both Drake and Kendrick exchanged lyrical haymakers. Drake called Kendrick a wife-beating lowlife, accused him of having a secret love child, and threw Dave Free, Kendrick's business partner, into the mix. But let's not forget, Kendrick came with that Super Bowl level ether, branding Drake with one of the most damaging accusations you can throw at an artist. And according to UMG, if anyone defamed anyone, they both did. One of the most interesting angles in UMG's response is their claim that Drake's lawsuit is an attack on artistic expression and free speech. Essentially, they argue that if Drake wins this case, it sets a dangerous precedent where rappers could start suing each other every time they lose a beef. And that's a scary thought for the culture. Like, Drake himself has historically spoken out against using song lyrics as evidence in court. He signed petitions against it, yet here he is trying to use that exact argument when it suits him. The hypocrisy is wild. Now let's talk about that AI Tupac track. This was one of the most bizarre moments in the entire beef. Drake, impatient for a response from Kendrick, dropped a freestyle where he used AI generated voices of Tupac and Snoop Dogg to take shots at Kendrick. Think about how insane that is for a second. Tupac, one of the most respected rappers ever, especially on the West Coast, is being used in an AI generated diss track to tell Kendrick to respond faster. The backlash was immediate. Fans, artists, and even Tupac's estate were not feeling it, and it only made Kendrick's eventual response even more impactful. In their rebuttal, UMG brings this up to highlight how reckless Drake's approach to this beef has been, and honestly, they got a point. Another heavy point in UMG's response is how they address the allegations that have been swirling around Drake for years. Now let's be clear, nothing has ever been proven, but the rumors have been there for a long time, and UMG's legal team made sure to remind everyone of that. They even brought up that viral clip from 2010 where Drake was caught on stage with a 17-year-old girl, making comments that, let's just say, didn't age well. And remember, Drake himself mentioned Millie Bobby Brown in one of his diss tracks. If he wanted to keep certain conversations off the table, why bring them up in the first place? At this point, UMG is just holding up a mirror and saying, you started this, now deal with the consequences. Now let's shift gears to another EL Drake took recently, his tour in Australia. Halfway through, the remaining dates got cancelled, with his team citing scheduling conflicts, but fans weren't buying it. Think about it, this is Drake we're talking about. His schedule is planned out months, if not years in advance. So what kind of scheduling conflict suddenly pops up mid-tour? The most logical conclusion? The tickets weren't selling as well as expected. Fans were understandably pissed. They had already bought tickets, made plans, and then suddenly, boom, tour's over. And to make matters worse, after canceling, Drake was still making public appearances like his schedule was wide open. One of the wildest parts of this entire saga is the ongoing debate over streaming manipulation. In their filing, UMG points out how Drake has accused them of manufacturing trends to boost Kendrick's success. But then, receipts started popping up showing that Drake's team was allegedly doing the exact same thing. Influencers and UGC creators have come forward, saying they were paid to push content around Drake's album. There were even reports of fans buying dozens of copies just to try and boost his chart numbers. And yet, despite all that effort, Kendrick's Not Like Us and Euphoria continued to dominate. Drake's fans have been running damage control for months, but the numbers don't lie. UMG laid out the facts, and at this point, it's clear that Drake's attempt to paint himself as a victim just isn't holding up. At the end of the day, UMG's response boils down to one simple message: Drake lost. And instead of taking the L, he's trying to rewrite history through a lawsuit that has no real merit. Even if he somehow manages to win this case, the long-term impact on rap and creative freedom could be devastating. Imagine if every rap beef had to be lawyer approved before an artist could drop a diss track. That's not just bad for hip-hop, it's bad for music in general. Drake had a chance to move past this. His recent album had some decent tracks and people were starting to shift their focus, but instead of letting the beef die, he kept fanning the flames only to get burned again. So, what do you guys think? Is Drake completely out of line here, or does he actually have a case? Let me know in the comments. And as always, if you enjoyed this video, drop a like and subscribe. It's your boy, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.